That's the beauty of it. What is inflammation? Real question, please answer.
Pain, yeah.
Okay. Inflammation will lead to pain. Inflammation will lead to dysfunction. Inflammation will lead to problems with organs. It will lead to all kinds of different stuff. But first of all, inflammation is a normal response. Your body has to have some sort of inflammation in order for it to actually fix things. So not only is it normal, but inflammation is actually a proper immune response. And so you guys have been trained to think of your immune system as, oh, if there's a bacteria or virus, that's what my immune system does. Well, if you hit your arm on something and there's damaged cells and the immune system is what goes in and kills the bad cells, gets rid of them, and then triggers the response of new cells to grow. So healing and producing new tissue after there's damaged tissue is actually an immune response. If a virus hijacks a bunch of cells and starts to do its thing, that is a damaged cell, and the immune system's triggered to go in and stop that and then help trigger the rebuilding process. So ultimately, inflammation, when we break it down to be the most simplistic explanation, is cell damage. It's a better way to say it is it's a response to cell damage. So, and it is anything that ends in itis, which means that you could have HEPA. What is hepatitis? HEPA is liver, and inflammation is itis. So hepatitis is inflammation of the liver. You guys don't really get to sit together. You can be split by a tripod or split by a guy. Have a seat. Good to see you.
I can move over.
So then
I cuddle a little bit. I'm not.
we can go through this over and over again. What is arth? Then arth means joint, and that's a joint that's what? Inflamed. So every single time that you guys see the word the itis at the end of a word, all it's saying is that's inflammation of that area. Now here's what that just did for you, if you get this. You will never be sitting at a doctor's office and have them go, oh, it's something itis, and then you're like, oh my God. Because they don't tell you that. Why do they not tell you that? Why is it that the medical doctor just says, oh, we have arthritis, instead of saying, you know what, you've got some inflammation in your joint and you need to be able to reduce the inflammation? Why do they just call it something? Why does it always have to have a name? If it doesn't have a name or diagnosis, then they don't have a drug for it. If it doesn't have a name or diagnosis, they can't get paid by the insurance company for it. So there has to be some name. And if the name is big and scary, what do you do?
Pay more.
Whatever you say, doc, you're the boss. Versus, I think I could probably figure this out on my own. My goal for you guys as patients in this office is for you to always be able to figure it out on your own. When you break your arm, when you have a crisis, an emergency, I'm not saying don't go to the doctor, but I'm saying that you guys are foolish if you run to the medical doctor for every little thing instead of getting adjusted, making sure your body has what it needs, giving your body some time to heal and adapt, and then reevaluate the situation. What do I really need? So inflammation is the root cause of just about every problem that you're going to have. So yes, it's pain. So if you have pain that's consistently happening in a joint, that at the most simplistic root is cell damage and an immune response. Now, what is it that damages cells? Yep. So toxins.
Immune response damage.
Okay, good question. So to your point, initially the immune system has to respond and it has to fix it. And that's what the response of the immune system to cell damage is: inflammation. That's that process. To your point, if it's left for a long time and it's constantly trying to fix it, over time, yes, that can be a problem. One of the things that you guys will most likely see or have seen improvement with since you've been getting adjusted is less scar tissue and better flexibility and movement of your spine. One of the things, so chiropractic is always taught and talked about The 3 T's: toxins, traumas, and thoughts. And so most of the interference to the body's ability to heal itself can fall into one of these categories. Most of the things that are going to cause inflammation are going to fall into one of these 3 categories. So I want to go through and talk about a few examples of those. Trauma, it doesn't have to be a massive car accident or a football head-on type of thing. It can be what? Every single day, if you do this hundreds and hundreds of times and you've lost the curve in your neck, that's technically a micro trauma, and a lot of little traumas equal a big trauma. If you're constantly doing something with your knee and it's twisted, or your knee is rotated and we haven't adjusted it, we haven't fixed the joint, and you're walking around on a joint that's not working properly, it's going to constantly be inflamed over and over and over again because it's constantly causing damage to the cells in that area, right? So in regard to traumas, any joint that doesn't move properly, there's inflammation there. What's the word that we use as far as the spine for when joints don't move properly? Subluxation, right? So the reason why it's important for you guys to get adjusted is because if you leave 2 joints that are stuck and not moving, there's always going to be inflammation. There's always going to be an immune response to that. Inflammation, when left over time, creates scar tissue. Scar tissue reduces range of motion, and then we're back to now it's stuck and doesn't move. Now it hurts again, and I never get out of the cycle. When you guys get adjusted, I'm trying to find a subluxation, and I'm literally recreating motion of the segment. Now that joint that moves properly no longer has a reason to damage the cells, therefore no longer requires an immune response. Therefore, the inflammation eventually goes away, and that's why it doesn't hurt anymore. The inflammation that's present is why when I poke at it, God damn, how'd you find that? Well, that's the inflammation that I'm poking, and that's what hurts. So traumas are going to create a problem with the joint or a problem with soft tissue that requires an immune response to fix. Once that trauma is resolved, once we work through the muscle, the ligament, get the joint to move properly, then the cause of the problem's gone. Therefore, there's no need for an immune response anymore. Remember, your immune system is super, super smart. If your immune system does not need to be active, it will not go to work. Your immune system doesn't just, I'm going to go out and do something for fun. It doesn't do anything unless it has to. It's a soldier. It's only on duty when necessary. We'll come back to that. This is a really big topic that we need to address because there's a bunch of bullshit all around that everybody thinks is true. So questions on what traumas are. I think that's one of the easiest ones to identify and be aware of. Where'd you get the trauma, right? Keep in mind, you guys have a child that has a trauma, get them adjusted. Because if you leave that joint not moving properly, it's never going to not have inflammation and problems. You guys are like, well, I don't know. My neck started bothering me a week ago. No, it started 10 years ago, back when you had that trauma, right? So what about thoughts? Again, somewhat self-explanatory, but did you guys know that poor thoughts can create inflammation? Your stress level and your inability to get into a fight or into a rest and digest will create an increase in cortisol, and it will create inflammation in the body. And you can get into what's called a catabolic state, which means your body is breaking down because it's trying to respond to so much stress and cortisol that's being released in the body. So as far as thoughts, does anybody know the difference between parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system? What is it?
No, I was doing this.
No, sir.
Words.
Parasympathetic, that's your rest and digest.
Yep. Yep. Parasympathetic paralyzed, like relaxed. I don't know how else to help you connect the words. S for stress, but parasympathetic is going to be the brake pedal, and sympathetic is the gas pedal or the fight or flight. Now, I think it's important to realize that you don't have to have something that you deem to be extremely stressful for your body to be stuck in a state of stress. Here's what I mean by that. You're like, oh, it's no big deal. I've dealt with this all the time. But it doesn't mean that your body's not stressed over it. Your body doesn't know the difference between a deadline at work and an argument with your spouse versus running from a wild animal in the wilderness. It's the same response on the inside. Blood pressure goes up, heart rate goes up, stress levels go up, blood pressure goes up, all that kind of stuff happens in response to stress. If the stress is there for too long, then you're creating inflammation in the body and you're creating a dysfunctional aspect of the body. One of the things that I think is super cool about that is when you guys get a chiropractic adjustment, when we move a bone in your spine, it literally sends signals up your spinal cord to your brain, and it automatically, whether we like it or not, believe it or not, doesn't matter, it actually begins to reduce your sympathetic tone and increase your parasympathetic. Okay, so if you guys look at this poster over here, all the red lines are sympathetic innervation. The blue ones are what's called parasympathetic. So areas in the top part of your spine and bottom part of your spine have more brake pedal influence over all your organs. Other parts where the nerves come out have more gas pedal on the organs. So every single one of your organs needs to be able to go, boom, we gotta go. All right, let's go to sleep and chill. Your digestion, if it's stuck in slow-mo, that's called constipation. If it's stuck in high gear, that's called diarrhea. Your brain needs to be able to regulate that so the organ actually works like it's supposed to. Your body's constantly trying to get to a state of homeostasis or balance and harmony, right? Well, when you have a problem with your spine, it's not getting the sensory information from the body to the brain. 90% of what your brain gets is sensory information. The two most important nutrients to the brain, number one is oxygen. Anybody know what the second most important nutrient to the brain is? Hint, it's not like a nutrient like you would think. It's this, nope.
Cerebral fluid.
Cerebral fluid. I knew it. I had that one written down, but I crossed it out. Mechanoreception is the signal that goes from the joint up your spinal cord to your brain. So when you get adjusted, it sends that signal up to your brain. That's the second most important nutrient. I get it from where my feet feel. I get it from doing this. I get it from running. I get it from moving. I get it from a massage. All of that's important input, but no input or signal is more important than actually moving the bone in your spine because it's right on your spinal cord and it sends that signal. So when that signal goes up, the quality of that signal dictates the quality of the regulation that it puts out. So whether your brain is doing a really good job at gas brake, and running everything well, or something's stuck on gas or stuck on brake, that is due to how well your brain regulates everything. That is due to how clear and what is the quality of signal that gets to the brain. Let that sink for a sec. So here's what that means. If you have subluxation in your spine and you're not getting adjusted, the quality of the signal that goes to the brain is subpar. Therefore, you have no real ability to regulate your body at 100%. That's why you get adjusted. I think that's why we get adjusted. People that are subluxated that are not under chiropractic care have legitimately no physiological ability to regulate their body at 100%. They get stuck in the fight or flight. They get stuck in the stress response. Wonder why they can't sleep. Wonder why they have no sex drive. Wonder why they have anxiety all the time. Wonder why they have no appetite. Wonder why their blood pressure's up. Wonder why they have erectile dysfunction. All of those things are signs that your body is stuck in a fight or flight state and it's not getting quality sensory input. Therefore, it's not regulating things downstream. Questions on that? I was like, yeah. Yep. We can just call it, we call it rest and digest or gas. We can call it gas or break.
Yes.
Usually when there's a problem with the spine, you're stuck in gas pedal stuck. Most problems with the body end up because parts wear out. They're stuck in the all the time. The stimulation of the brain is what allows the brake pedal to be more activated and available. When you guys are stressed, you have a deadline coming up, you just got in an argument with your spouse, whatever it is, if you can't come in right away and get an adjustment, go for a run. Go lift weights. Go kick the shit out of the bag in the garage. Whatever you got to do, but that movement all the time is also firing signals to the brain. That's why there's such a thing as a runner's high. Someone goes out and runs, well, there's 26 bones in each foot that are moving. That's a lot of joints moving, firing signals to the brain. You go play a soccer game, you can't tell me you're not more relaxed or a little bit chill after a soccer game.
He says I'm nicer.
See? Well, he's nicer because not only did he put the brake pedal on, so he comes home more chill and relaxed. Plus, he feels fulfilled because he went out and did something that drives him and like feeds him. So we need all of that stuff, right? And you probably have some good thoughts because you had fun, you laughed, you joked around, and you feel better. But that's a lot of signals going to your brain while you're running around playing soccer. So if you guys are not exercising, I can't stress enough how important it is for you to have some sort of exercise routine on a bike, in the pool, lifting weights, because every time you're moving, it's more signals to the brain, better regulation. And this thing right here that you have, if you don't use it, you lose it. So if you're not reading, exercising, getting adjusted, you think about this thing as something that needs stimulation and sensory put all the time, not looking at a phone. That's not the kind of stimulation I'm talking about. So the other one is toxins. That's the one that I want to kind of take the tonight into more so. So thoughts are important. We get that. We're going to do a big mindset workshop in the fall. Traumas, you guys have a pretty good idea and understanding of that. Toxins is what I want to spend some time on. I want to circle back to autoimmune disease and really explain that in depth so you understand more about how to get that. And then I want to talk about prizes from the Slims Challenge. What is a toxin? I think it's important that you guys can identify what is a toxin, and we make it super simple to be able to be aware of what it is. It is not just gasoline, smoke in the air, chemtrails. It's not just that. Any ideas of what toxins are?
Bacterial infection.
Okay. So you're saying that the toxin is the bacteria? Okay. It's fair. If we classify it as something that creates damage to the cell, then that's very valid. So anything that creates damage to a cell could be a toxin, right? So what's something you guys would find in food that would be a toxic? Dyes? Artificial sweeteners, colors? Pesticides, glyphosate. Let's do this. If it's made by man versus if it's made by there are some things, don't get me wrong, right? There's poisonous plants out there God made. You eat those, you're probably hosed, right? Those are going to cause problems. There is stuff that he created that's toxic. But if we just really tried to keep this simple, for the majority of the time, what man has altered, modified, created, or big fat air quotes improved is typically the things that are going to be the most toxic and the worst for you. Those are what's going to cause the most cell damage. And a lot of times I find that people trade in a lot for convenience. I think that our convenience is what leads to a lot of our cancer. Most of the gas stations you go to, they're not really gas stations. Those are convenience stores, and they're full of food. Food, big air quote, that they're trying to get you to eat because that's where they make all the money. Just so you guys know, they don't make money on gas. It's not a gas station. It's a fast food restaurant because they know that everybody's just going to eat garbage. So might as well put one on every corner so it's convenient. So food is a big way that you would get toxins. What else? Okay, and elaborate for me. Yeah. So smelling things. This may be a ruffle of feather or what? That's your cologne. It's your perfume. It's your shampoo. It's your deodorants. It's all kinds of different stuff that you would put on your body. If the smell was not around 100 years ago, it's probably toxic. There are things like essential oils, but in their defense, that thing that they're getting it from was around 100 years ago, right? They're taking lavender, they're taking orange, they're taking stuff like that and pulling it out of that. That is different than chemical formula XYZ plus chemical formula YTX, blah, 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 carbon this, and then making some smell, right? So, okay, so we get it from what we smell. Some of this you can't avoid, right? Some of these things you cannot change. Like, I would challenge you guys to go home and change a personal care product tonight. I almost guarantee you that everyone's got either a toothpaste or a lotion or a shampoo or a deodorant that is not clean. It's got sodium lauryl sulfate in it. It's got parabens in it. It's got propylene glycol in it. I can rattle off words and you guys can write them down, or you can just use ChatGPT or Google and go, hey, I want to change my personal care products. What are the top 5 chemicals I should avoid? And then just start reading labels. This isn't super hard because most of the world's caught on to the fact that we want these products. You guys just have to be willing to go out and buy them. Smells you can control in your house. It's kind of hard to control the smell of people around you or the cars or whatever. What else? Okay, I think we're getting into my next part here, which is, no, you're good. You're good. So how do toxins get in? They get in through smell, taste. So we eat or drink, we swallow them, and then they get in through your skin, or they absorb through your skin. I mean, there's another one that bypasses. If you get a vaccination, you've taken, regardless of what you want to argue about that's in the vaccine, you've taken things and you've bypassed your natural defense and put them past your defense system. And so one of the reasons why people have negative reactions to vaccinations is because there's something now in their bloodstream that maybe wouldn't have been absorbed the same way had it gotten rubbed on their skin or had they breathed it in or eaten it. Your body is more able to detox things that go in your mouth or in your breath or on your skin. It has a pathway for that, has a process for that. When you bypass the defense with a needle, it doesn't have a process to address that. It's directly right into the bloodstream and now it's everywhere. That's, I believe, one of the main reasons why people have adverse events to vaccines. But there's aluminum on our food. There's aluminum on other stuff. It doesn't affect you the same way. How do they get out?
Hydration.
What?
Sometimes they don't.
Okay. Sometimes they don't. They don't. Yeah, so sweating. We're going to sweat them out. We're going to pee them out. Someone use the other P word. Come on. There we go. We're going to poop them out. Don't be afraid to say poop. What happens when you get a breathalyzer? You're breathing them out. Those are the 4 ways that they get out of the body. Okay? So then you have to, now here's an important thing to think about. All that has to happen in and go through the liver. And outside of having to remove them, here's the coolest thing. This is kind of a new thought for me. I don't have to detox my body. I don't have to grab it and get it out. I have to quit putting shit in. Your body, remember, your body is fearfully and wonderfully made, and it is an amazing, amazing thing. This earth suit that God gave you has some pretty cool capabilities. So if you just stop putting toxins in, your body will automatically get rid of them. And it's automatically getting rid of them all day, every day with some of these ways. So sometimes we get so caught up on, how do I detox? How do I detox all that? Well, why don't you commit to eating only organic food for 90 days? Why don't you commit to exercising 4 days a week for 90 days and get your breath up, start breathing really hard? Why don't you go to a sauna 2 or 3 times a week and sweat your ass off for 90 days? And then why don't you stop putting personal care products on that are toxic for 90 days? Why don't you avoid change all the smells and scents in personal care? So if you just stop letting it get in, you would naturally have less toxins. So how do I illustrate this? Everybody's got a bucket, okay? This bucket has a small hole at the bottom, and this bucket, every green line is an exposure to some toxic thing like we've talked about. You've either smelled something toxic, swallowed it, eaten it, rubbed it on your skin, got a vaccine, whatever, or you've got fillings in your mouth, or you've been exposed to metals in some other fashion. Bottom line is every time that you're exposed to something, depending on how bad it is or how often you do it, it adds another layer. If you did nothing but stop, just stopped, what would happen? Over time, it's going to drain. It's going to start draining. And you may get to a point where you've been super clean, super consistent, and it's drained all the way down. To be super clear, most of you guys are right here because you haven't let it drain for a long time, for like 25 years. And so you're so close to like having symptoms that you just kind of got rid of some of your symptoms. You've been having headaches or whatever, you've been having digestive problems, and you've gotten this to drain enough that you actually are feeling pretty good. But if you go right back to eating crappy food, or you go out on the weekend, you didn't really care, you're back to feeling like crap next week. You're dancing this line, right? And so it takes consistency. It takes a while. Thank God, it doesn't take nearly as long to empty this bowl as it did to fill it. Y'all been filling it for years. It's going to take weeks or months to empty it. But the coolest thing ever is your body actually empties it. Dr. Allie, my wife and I, and Cass and Stacy and my mom and her mom are doing this this thing. It's called Happy Healthy, and it's a weight loss thing. But the idea is you're detoxing from seed oils. You're eliminating 100% of fats in your body, so you have no more fat. I can go into more details on it, but we're doing something. We're flying these doctors in who own the company that presented it and that developed it. We're bringing them in on May 6th. So if you guys want to come to that workshop on May 6th, they will go over the details of it. There's a cost to it. It's a program that they run. I have nothing to do with it. I'm just doing it as a guinea pig to see if I think it's worth letting my patients know about. Anyway, how much weight have you lost?
I'm down 12 pounds, but the difference, I'll show you guys later, the difference in my face is, my face was like super pudgy and my double chin was hanging out all the time. And I felt that it's like gone down. Also, like my gut doesn't feel as like hard and like pushed out all the time. So I feel that. I also feel a lot more energy to get through the day, and then I'm ready to go to sleep. Lots of little changes.
It's super strict. Not gonna lie to you, it's super strict. And I've never been this strict with any diet or nutrition plan in my entire life. But I am. She's a week ahead of me. I'm 2.5 weeks in. I've also lost around 12 pounds, almost 3% body fat. To lose 3% body fat in 2.5 weeks that's crazy fast. But If I stop now, right, if I stop now, I feel like I'm just right here. I've got to go for the full time. So it's 5 weeks of super, super strict. And then you start adding some stuff back in. But I really think that if I can stick to it, by the time I get to the end of the 5 weeks, I'm going to be way down here. And the whole point of it is a metabolic reset. And one of the things that they're pitching and talking about is if you go through the entire thing, you reset your metabolism, you fix some of your hormonal issues, and then you can actually have a piece of bread or have a piece of pizza on the weekend and not feel like you're super fat, bloated, and feel gross after that. You can go back to eating like you did when you were a teenager. Like everyone's like, oh yeah, I used to be able to eat all kinds of stuff. It never caught up to me. Yeah, but over the last 30 years, your cup has gotten so full that now it's so caught up to you, it has nowhere to go. So through this process that we are doing and that I invite you guys to come out to the workshop and hear about, the whole idea is how do we get your tank so stinking empty that it would take months of eating crap to get it filled up. And even if you just stayed halfway disciplined, you would be hanging out right in here and it would never actually get to the point of being symptoms or alarms going off or having issues. Yeah. Short answer, no. Longer answer, please elaborate. What do you mean? Let me use the analogy and play off of it. Your military, aka your immune system, comes already equipped as the number one SEAL team in the world. It's already gone through all the training. It cannot get better. Now, do you want it out fighting every single day, working its ass off all the time, or do you want it sitting there ready for the big deal? I want it rested. I want it ready to go. If there was such a thing as a utopia where you lived in a non-chemical world, you had perfectly organically grown food, you were exercising naturally, getting adjusted, doing all this stuff, you would lose a ton of weight, you would get your optimum shape, you would get to your exact you that you were created to be. You don't need any garbage to strengthen your immune system. Exposure to things will strengthen it, yes, but I'm saying it doesn't need to get better. It's already made perfect. And the more you bombard it with stuff, the harder it's working.
This may be tangential, but to his point, right? I've read that kids who have dogs and play in the dirt and play in the farm fields have much lower rates of peanut allergies and asthma, things like that. That's kind of what I was thinking of.
There's no doubt that when your immune system is exposed to things, it gets stronger. I'm not saying that. And the more your immune system has to adapt to things, the stronger it is for things later. That's why we're not worried about whether our kids get a cold, or you guys can come in and get adjusted when you get the flu or COVID or whatever. It doesn't bother me a bit, because if I'm around that, I'm either going to get it or I'm not. Either way, I'm going to get stronger from it. Those same kids are building immunity because they're exposed to everything. Peanut allergies come from vaccines. That's just, unfortunately, the reality. There's peanuts. I don't know the exact aspect of it, but there's somewhere along the lines, there was some peanut oil used in a vaccination. So you're injecting peanut oil into the body, doesn't have an ability to defend itself to that. Now you got peanut oil roaming around the body where it shouldn't be. And then the immune system goes off. We're back to this conversation. I'll get back to it. And then you got the immune system attacking that. And now anytime that peanut oil comes in, peanut oil, bad, attack. It's because it got in the wrong place to begin with, not because they were just all of a sudden allergic to peanut oil.
Let's go back to what you said about toxins. Man-made versus God-made. God made some toxins, and so did man. And God's ones are.
And there's plants out there that if you get in a poison ivy, like, man didn't make that, but you don't want to let it touch you. Like, there's certain things that God probably didn't go, yeah, you can do it, roll in whatever you want. Like, there's certain things we're not supposed to do. This right here, let's go into this for a second. So toxins get into your body through the ways that we just talked about. Then they're in your bloodstream. Once they're in your bloodstream, the catch-all organ is the liver, right? And when they get to your liver, there's a process. And the first phase is they have to be turned into something that is more like water to move in through the liver. which means that the first part of detoxing adds an oxygen molecule to that toxic chemical to get it over to here. Once it's here, it needs to leave the liver. When it leaves the liver, it's going to leave via one of these systems, right? So it'll leave the liver and end up in the gut, and it'll ideally turn into a stool and be pooped out. It'll leave the liver and go to the kidneys. The kidneys will filter it, and then you're going to pee it out. It'll go through the lymphatic system and turn into sweat, or it'll end up in the lungs and you'll breathe it out. The question is, how do I optimize my ability to get it from the liver out? Has anybody heard of methylation? Heard of methylated vitamins? The inability to methylate. Super simple. This is called a methyl group, a carbon and 3 hydrogens attached to each other. That is the molecule that grabs onto toxins and gets them out of the liver. The other molecule that can be used is called glutathione. If you want your body to function better and you want to get things out of your liver faster, you should consider supplementing with glutathione, or you should consider using a product that gives you the building blocks to make more glutathione. The reason why we use this product is because everything that's in it are building blocks to help your body produce more glutathione. And they're also building blocks to help your body make more of this. Does anybody know what ATP is? ATP is just a fancy way to say energy. It's got a chemical name to it. But if your body is detoxing, it's using up all the methyl groups, it's using all the glutathione. If it runs out of these, or it's using all the building blocks to detox, it's not going to use it to make energy. So one reason why people who are super toxic are really lethargic or tired all the time is because most all their building blocks are having to get used to make glutathione to get the toxins out, because if they don't get the toxins out, they'll die. Your body gets to choose between stay alive or have lots of energy. Stay alive is always the option. Questions? Well, without getting into the Krebs cycle and all kinds of stuff that honestly is too much science for my brain right now.
Some therapists are too scared to try it with their clients because it is awesome and they're wrong, and then
You need to do, more checks on your people, once in a while.
Got to run a little personality profile, background check. What you're describing is not energy production, it's a spike in cortisol. It's a spike in a hormone that manages stuff and floods energy into the cell. Glutathione. Uh-huh. This is just a unit of energy in life. You have this all the time. If you're sitting here, you have ATP being developed right now. Everybody's developing it. All I'm saying is that if your body has to divert a lot more energy to making glutathione to detox, it cannot have as much of that to make. That's what I'm saying. So the point is, if you guys were more diligent in avoiding toxins in your life, if you went for a long period of time purposely getting rid of toxins and never letting them in and got this cup way down, you would automatically have a lot more nutrients and ability to make more of this. So as you lose 20 pounds of fat and inflammation and you're down to here, your energy level is going to be through the roof compared to what it is now. Just that's why people, when they lose weight, pretty much every person that's lost 10 to 30 pounds says, I've got a lot more energy than I used to. Losing the weight is synonymous with reducing the inflammation. Losing weight is synonymous with lowering the level of the cup and getting rid of all the stuff. There is no one versus the other. There is no one then the other. Of the 12 pounds that I've lost 3 pounds of muscle, which is not great. But then only part of that, the rest of it is actual fat. Some of it is just inflammation, just tissue, I don't know how to describe it. But the point is that to keep it really simple, all you got to do is keep emptying your cup. And all I'm talking about this for, I was leading up to the fact that some people, if there's anybody that has what's called an MTHFR mutation or gene mutation, there are gene mutations that people have. I do, my kids do. I've seen kids with it, a lot of kids. If your kids have a tongue tie, if they had a little vein right here, if they've got a red rash right here on their neck, or you do, your body does not methylate very well, which means it doesn't make very many CH3s. And so it utilizes or relies on glutathione all the time. That's why that person should be supplementing with some form of glutathione or the building blocks, because they're never going to be able to have everything they need to get toxins out of the liver.
Outside of birth.
No. And the reason why it may not be empty at birth is because your mom. If your mom had fillings in her mouth, if your mom took medications while she was pregnant, your mom's got metal fillings in her mouth, your mom was stressed through pregnancy, she took medication during pregnancy, you were born at a hospital and pulled out by your head, you were immediately vaccinated like they want to do, then your mom didn't breastfeed you, you were formula fed, you were given your 2-month vaccine, your 4-month vaccine, your 6-month vaccine, your 1-year vaccine. You grew up in a stressful home. Mom and dad always fought. Got dropped as a baby. I mean, goes across the board, right? So by the time you wonder why there's kids that have symptoms, well, they come out with their cup already beginning to fill. And then the choices that parents make because they may not know any better, or they get bullied into it, or they just think that that's the right way, it continues to fill the cup. And so, no, most of the time, unfortunately, when we get to a teenage years, cups half full. And then either it just slowly fills up and you, in your 20s or 30s, you decide you're just going to start doing something about your health, or you end up in your 40s and your cup's already full and things are a mess. Which is why if your kids are not getting adjusted, that's just crazy to me, because that's one way you empty the cup, right? If your spouse isn't getting adjusted, you got to talk to them about that, because that's one way that they empty the cup. And if you guys have friends, if you guys have a friend who's got a child that's chronically sick all the time, their cup is full. You have to help them understand that there are different things that they can do. They're not just stuck on medication. That's not the way it works. I want to jump into this now, and I want to spend just the next 10 minutes or so. It's 7:10. I want to wrap up at 7:30. So I want to go rapid fire. You guys can see those. We're going to start with you. And I'm going to try to go through the whole audience, and everybody just gets to pick one. I'm going to freestyle for like 2 minutes, give you some information on it, write something down. And I'm going to try to give you guys a couple simple like protocol, try this, do this at home. The goal here is to write down 1 or 2 things you didn't know. And the goal is to write down at least one thing you're going to do differently this week or next week. Otherwise, no point. Go.
Huh? You said a lot.
Huh?
Fine. You know what's really confusing me is the coffee in the butt.
I knew that was going to be what you picked.
Well, that's where I get really lost.
He chose coffee in the butt.
Yes, dude.
Coffee in the butt for 300. Does anybody know why you would do an enema?
They're
Yeah. So it's funny how it's like coming out the back. That's funny. You can't just do a cleanse. When you guys have diarrhea, that's not the same thing as cleaning out your colon. I talk about this at all the seminars, but the inside of your colon has a bunch of folds, and there's stuff that gets stuck in there that's been in there for years. And the only way to get that out is to put fluid from the other direction to break it loose and let it flow out. And so you guys have literally feces that are stuck in there, that's been stuck in there for 5, 10, 25, 30 years, unless you've done a colonic regularly or done an enema. A colonic is going to a professional and they do everything for you. It's not weird. They're professionals. An enema is you're doing it at home. And so you would do water, and water going in your colon. You'd be laying on your back, your butt's on a pillow because you're kind of elevated, and there's a small tube. It's not big. Inserted in your rectum, goes up to a bucket. The bucket's full of filtered body temperature water. So when it goes into your colon, you don't feel anything besides like a weird, like filling up sensation. You're on your back, and your colon goes like this, comes in right here, goes up, and then down to the small intestine. So you literally try to rub your colon and get the water as far up your colon as you possibly can, because the further it goes, the more it's going to clear everything out. And so the toilet is right there for a reason, because your body's going to go, eject, eject, and you got to pull the tube and run. And so, I mean,
Great, you move and yeah.
So you pull the tube, clinch real hard, get over to the toilet, sit down, and then has anybody seen the movie Dumb and Dumber, where Lloyd's at that lady's house and he's like, the first one is like foot shaking, like a little bit like that. And the smell will be different than you've ever smelled, because you've never smelt the shit that's been stuck in there for that long. Well, you should find out.
I'm just gonna do this.
Yeah. So you do one, and you're like, okay, I can do another one, and then you go back and do it again. And the idea would be eventually you do one with coffee in it, because when coffee gets absorbed through your intestine, it stimulates your liver to make your liver start producing more glutathione and start detoxing better. That's why you do coffee.
Why do you start with tap water? Or not tap water, but
I think it makes sense you can only make so much coffee and only keep coffee warm for so long. So it makes, and it's more expensive than water. It makes sense to get all this shit out of the way first and then put the coffee in. If you're trying to get the coffee to absorb, you should probably get everything that might be in the way out before you try to get the coffee to absorb. Yeah. Yeah, usually I would do 2 in a row. And I have never been as consistent as I would like to be. I would like to do it once a month like clockwork, for me personally. If you guys have never done one, it would probably be good to do like 2 or 3 in the first week and then do once a month after that. If it's a concern or you're just not sure how to do it or don't want to do it, go have a professional do it. And usually they suggest that you do 2 or 3 colonics within about a week and a half to really make sure that everything has been removed. Other questions? What you buy the bucket online, the buckets are anywhere from $12 for a BPA-free plastic bucket. It's obviously the most economical, but hot water and plastic is not always the best idea. But trying to be healthy with BPA-free. But the better way would be to get a stainless steel bucket. And then the coffee, you just look up golden roast enema coffee. It's golden. You guys know that the lighter the roast, the higher the caffeine, right? So dark roast coffee has less caffeine than light roast coffee. And I used to as well. I used to think darker the coffee, the more going to get. The opposite of that. So this is golden. It's not even black. So it's like the lightest of all roast, and it's got the most amount of caffeine to, again, stimulate the liver.
Tap water, and specifically what level of filter? We filter all our water at home, but not like Berkey level.
The best answer would be I would take the water and I would go to a place and I would ask them to test it. So after you filter it to what you're going to call the standard for the family at this point in time, go and get it tested and see how much chlorine's still in it, or you can order some sort of testing kit at home. I don't think they're that expensive, but if you really wanted to know, I would go and get it tested, and I would go and get it tested by somebody who sells water machines, and they're going to try to sell me on it, because then they're going to be super clear on all the problems, and they're going to uncover all kinds of crap with your water. I get that we're walking into a sales opportunity, but I'm okay being sold if it's something that I want and need. The definition of a sale is just you and I agreeing upon something that's mutually beneficial and we exchange money. That shouldn't be a problem. So get it tested. That's my best answer. But I would encourage you to do something like buy a Berkey. It's not horribly expensive, and at least you're running it through carbon and running it through different filtration aspects. For the longest time, I didn't want to spend money on a house filtration system. So we would go to All About Water Meridian and we would fill up these 5-gallon jugs. And we had, like, just like we have here, we have 10 or 12 5-gallon jugs over there. And then I had a spout on the counter that I'd clean once every couple of weeks. Pick this up and drop it in another 5-gallon jug. It would fill it up, and that's where we pulled from water from. And then we put filters on our shower heads that would catch all the chlorine. And then we had a little chlorine catcher, everything we would throw in a bathtub. That's how we did it for years. And then just decided that I was going to invest the money in a whole house filtration system. So now when the water comes in, it goes through that system, all the chlorine's pulled out, and the house is chlorine free. But then we have one water spigot in the pantry where we get all of our drinking water from, because that gets reverse osmosis and then minerals are added back in. The reason why we don't drink tap water, you guys, is because there's just so much stuff in it. Everything from chlorine, potentially fluoride, other people's drugs. There's just all kinds of crap in tap water that you don't want in your body. And unfortunately, a lot of the bottled water that we find now is just glorified tap water with the label on it. So I would encourage you to do your homework on the tap water. It's been popping up in my feed lately. The one that's passed all the tests on multiple different apps or people is Mountain Spring water. It comes in a green glass bottle. But Fiji's not as thick as I thought it was. I used to drink Fiji all the time thinking smart water. It wasn't dumb water.
What about well water? I have iron.
Then you got to get it tested. I'm right in the middle of dealing with that at our cabin. Our cabin water is just, it's like brown. The toilets are brown. It looks like someone took a dump and left it there for months. It's iron, it's magnesium, I had it tested, it's got all kinds of stuff. So I'm in the process of figuring out what is the best whole house filtration system to not deal with that anymore.
Toxin from seed oil. I know what a seed oil
A seed oil is oil made from anything that is seed in a plant. That means your canola oil, your vegetable oils, sunflower oil, safflower oil, all of that stuff is seed oils. And peanut oil, all of that. The hardest, or the thing about seed oils is the more you heat it, the more inflammatory it becomes. So that's why you go out to a fast food restaurant and they've cooked fries in that oil 45 times that day. Those are way more going to cause a lot more problems and a lot more inflammation than you at home doing fries in some oil and only using it once or twice for that batch. Canola oil. Yep, that's a seed oil. Yep, all of that stuff is causing inflammation in your body. The only oil, so to detox, and we're going through a detox right now with seed oils, but what I've come to the realization of, I'm not taking something that pulls seed oils out. I'm completely eliminating oil at all. So I'm not even using the same deodorant that I was because it had fat in it. We've changed all of our lotions, changed our shampoos. I'm not allowed to eat fat, period. I don't even get healthy butter. I don't get coconut oil. I don't get nothing. Half the time I don't, but I don't care. I'm over it. But my body is having to turn to whatever fat I got left, and it's eating it up like crazy. And so I'm getting rid of all fat, and then later going to add good fats in. But You can start to feel, let me say it this way, you can feel bad fats and oils after you've been clean for a while and you put them back in, you feel it. You feel it big time.
Yes, anytime I have just like the slightest little bit.
Well, you go clean for a while with whatever it is. Doesn't matter what it is, you're going to have a much bigger reaction when you actually put it back in. Whether that be you haven't had a drink for a month and you have a drink, you're like, whoa, a little bit of wine went a long way. It's like part of this diet, which you guys might like, is you get to choose a fruit and vegetable. So you have meat and you have a fruit and a vegetable, and your fruit can be 4 ounces of dry white or dry red wine. So I was,
Have you been on this thing for
so I had one, it was supposed to be 4 ounces, it might have been 5. I had one 4-ounce glass of wine, and I was like, jeez, that was really good wine. I was like, I've never felt like this off of one glass of wine, because you get rid of it for so long, it's like, instead of your body going, oh, same stuff. So if you guys, listen, we're not going out to eat. I'm not going out to a restaurant for 5 straight weeks. And to some of you guys, that just seems like absolutely impossible. I'm not saying this is easy. I'm just saying I made a commitment. I got to stick to it. I've never gone for 5 weeks with no fat and seen what my body would turn into. And I've never gone for 5 weeks without seed oils. I've never done it, because there's always been either I grabbed this or I went out, all I had was meat, but they cooked it in oil. There's always been something. It's never been perfect long enough for this to happen. So detoxing seed oils is just not having them. And eventually they're gone. Your body will process it all. It's better just to tell you what are good oils. Tallow, ideally from a grass-fed, grass-finished, like clean quality cow. Coconut oil does not classify as a seed oil. And I don't know if I can vouch for avocado oil anymore. Grapeseed oil is out. You're basically at coconut oil and tallow. Unfortunately, those are the only 2 safe fly zones as far as cooking or frying things at home.
Why not avocado oil? Because that's what we use.
I've been so on avocado oil for so long, and I'm taking some online CE credits for my license right now, and I listened to one on seed oils, and he was talking about anything that has linoleic acid in it is going to be inflammatory, and avocado oil has a lot of linoleic acid in it. So I don't have a great answer for you. I'm not saying run home and throw away the avocado oil, but maybe look into that a little bit more. It's the linoleic acid that's the problem. It's an omega-9. Anyway, on to this. Rod, pick one.
The seed oil is what I want, but let's go with melatonin and magnesium.
So we don't take melatonin. We make melatonin. Okay? So melatonin, yes, it's great to help you sleep, but you don't want to take it because that's giving yourself a crutch. And if you've got a crutch, you're never going to get stronger at walking. Let me make sure this lands. If you take melatonin all the time, your body's desire and ability to make and generate melatonin is going to go down because it feels like you're just going to give it to it all the time. If you're going to give out handouts and freebies, it's not going to work for it. It's not stupid, it's efficient. And so there are ways to make more melatonin, one of which is magnesium. I believe magnesium glycinate is the one that's most likely to help you make melatonin. So if you want something to help you sleep, it would be best to take magnesium glycinate instead of melatonin. Melatonin is an antioxidant, very strong antioxidant. Antioxidants are something that help to fix cell damage. Really easy way to explain it. So that's why they can reduce inflammation, because they're fixing cell damage. Melatonin could be taken as an antioxidant, but I wouldn't be taking it to sleep. I'd be taking it as maybe an antioxidant or doing the building blocks to make more of it. Your body also makes more melatonin when you're out in the sunlight. When you receive ultraviolet light to the body, your body makes more melatonin. So being out in the sun like you were created to be, getting that sunlight into your skin. If you are in the middle of the winter like we've been, my wife bought these lights. They're like this big, and you got to watch out when you turn them on because they're uber bright. But instead of turning on the lights in the morning, we turn that on, and it's representative of the same light that comes from the sun. So I'm getting that into my eyes and onto my skin first thing in the day to help my body start to wake up properly. If you want melatonin increased and you want better sleep, you're going to dim your house more at night. So the last thing you would want is bright lights on at night while you're trying to go to bed. Because if you had no house and you were out in the middle of nowhere, what would happen to the light as you got closer to bedtime? It goes down. Not only is it getting more dim or darker, but actually the position of the light is also going down. So you were built and designed to go to sleep when the lights go down and it gets darker. But when the lights go down and go darker and I'm inside of artificial light the whole time, I turn that switch off and I flip on another artificial light and I'm stimulating my brain and I wonder why I don't go to sleep very well. Those are some pretty good indications. The other way you make melatonin is your room is completely dark. Like we're talking like not even a nightlight in the corner, completely dark, no TVs on, no night lights, no light from the other room, completely dark, and you're sleeping in that environment. You make more melatonin that way.
Why lower inflammation?
Eliminate sugar, eliminate bad fats, aka seed oils and other stuff, eliminate toxins. Eliminate whatever it is that's causing cell damage. And cell damage is anything that man's made versus God made. And then the number one secret ingredient is consistency and time. You can't do it. You can't. Listen, here's what happens sometimes. I'll go, well, how's your nutrition? And my patient's like, oh, it's really good. But if I ask them really, they mean that they go for a week and a half eating really well, and then they fall off the wagon and they're back to the way it was. And then they'll go for a week and a half. And so they never really saw the benefit. Like, nothing's changed. You did it for 10 days. You need to do it for 90. Come back to me 90 days after you've been extremely strict, like crazy strict, and then tell me nothing happened. That would be weird, right? So, and the key there, the mentality of that is however long you guys want to do it. We're doing this for 5 weeks. In my mind, it's 8 to 10 weeks. That way, when I get to the 5-week mark, it's like, oh, it's over. Push-ups. If I ask when you guys come up and do 100 push-ups, you'd get to 30 or 40 and be like, oh my gosh. If I say you have to do 200, you'd get to 90 or 100 before you went, holy crap, I can't do it. It's a weird thing that when we set our mind on something further than where we really need to get to, we'll get further than we would have if we had not done that.
You said sugar. What are things like flour and alcohol that you like?
Same. If you really want to do this, like I haven't, outside of my 4 ounces of red wine, I haven't had any alcohol since I started this thing. I haven't had any chips or pastas or breads or, do I want it? Yeah. My patient brought a whole loaf of sourdough the other day. I took it home and handed it to my kids and I was like, hates you. You get a drink later though. So do something like this, do something crazy for 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, you guys are already finished Slims. All 4 of you guys did Slims, lost weight. I don't know if other people did it, but you're the only 4 that turned in results that are here tonight. You guys went through that. It was 4 weeks. It wasn't that crazy. Or maybe it was.
The fasting is hard.
It's a mindset too. Rebecca, what do you got? We got room for one more maybe. Yeah. Smoothies. So this smoothie that I'm doing lately, I don't know if you want to have it, but I can only eat cottage cheese because of the lack of fat content. I've never eaten cottage cheese. I think it's the most disgusting thing in the whole world.
What's wrong with you?
The texture is like, the texture, I just can't get past these little curds, right? So I take the whole thing, dump it in there, and put a big handful of frozen cherries and blend it up, and I drink it, and that's one of my meals for the day. A whole thing of cottage cheese. So a smoothie, your best base is coconut milk. Second best base is going to be raw organic A2, like high quality milk. But what you don't want is a juice base, a lot of sugar. What you don't want is a conventional crappy milk base. A good base. And I always put the base in first, meaning the liquid, and then I'm going to add my frozen ingredients. If I don't have something frozen, I'm putting ice in because I want it to be cold by the time I'm done. I'm going to put in frozen berries, frozen whatever, blend that until it's all mixed in. Then I put the protein powder in. People oftentimes put the protein powder in before they blend it. That's when it gets really fluffy and you get bubble guts. And then things I would put in it, I put creatine in it now. I'm taking creatine every day. If you guys are not taking creatine, I would highly recommend that you start taking creatine. Creatine, has anybody ever heard of methylene blue? It's like a fad right now. So methylene blue is used, and the reason why it's popular is because it helps to create more efficiency in your mitochondria, which is like the factories inside the cell that help make energy and make the cell work better. So it translates into mental clarity, translates into more energy, translates into a lot of different stuff. But the problem is methylene blue on a lower quality end is what they use to clean fish pools and swimming pools. On a higher quality end, the best it is food grade dye made in a laboratory. So I'm not really that interested in putting food grade dyes into my body, even though the world thinks it's the greatest thing ever. So creatine does the same thing in regard to helping your cells, and you're helping your cell function better. So it will help with energy levels, but also it brings more nutrients to the muscle. And if you guys are lifting weights and or trying to get better results with your workouts, you're going to be less sore and you're going to get bigger gains and you're going to be able to work out more without feeling like you're got hit by a truck all the time. So it helps with all kinds of different stuff, but definitely recommended supplement would be creatine. Start handing these out.
So, excited.
So we had 2 couples that did a really great job with slims, and it was all really close as far as results and everything else. So I made 4 winners. And you guys are each getting a supplement bundle. I'm going to run through each of those real quick as an education piece. But then,
Oh,
God,
vintage.
half off it. So you guys each get a supplement bundle, and then you guys each have a gift card for $100 to the co-op, and then $50 to that restaurant that I told you guys about that's got all clean, organic food and no seed oils. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then the specialist added extreme price is a 1-hour massage, and that is for you because your husband didn't even go to the seminar, but you got him to do the challenge with you, and he kept going and kept motivated, and you've been super plugged in lately. Thank you for coming to the last dinner. Thank you for bringing a friend. It means the world that we get to share the message of chiropractic with people you guys care about. So thank you for that. So yeah, we just want to take a second and throw some props. So yeah, do this. Yay, winners! Yay! Omega-3s. I'm going to finish with this. If you guys are not taking omega-3s, you need to start. EPA, DHA. Does anybody know what those are? Anybody know what they do? Important stuff. So here's the deal. You know you have a crappy omega, like you bought it at Costco or Walmart, because when you open it, you smell it, and you want to vomit, right? The oil is rancid. The oil is put in the capsule, and they let oxygen in. The oil becomes oxidized. It's stinky. It's rancid. It's bad for you. Do not listen. It would be better you didn't do it at all versus buying it at Costco or Walmart or wherever, and it's a crappy oil. These ones are encapsulated in the presence of nitrogen, meaning there's no oxygen. It can't get rancid. It can't get oxidized. The other thing is that omega-3s come from anchovies and sardines. Well, sorry. Omega-3s come from phytoplankton. Then anchovies and sardines eat the phytoplankton. Another fish eats them, another fish eats them, another fish eats them, another fish eats them. The fish oil you're getting at Costco is from this fish. The further up the chain it gets, the more pollutants and garbage it gets in it. So you're getting a fish oil that's from a fish that is a dirty little fish anyways, when really you should be getting it as close to here as possible. That's why these are from anchovies and sardines, because that's what's eating this. Cool? Other thing is that these are the two main things. When you look at this, you look at the back, and it's got 650 milligrams of EPA, 450 milligrams of DHA. So it's 1,100 milligrams of those two important pieces. There's only 1,280 total, which means there's only 180 of other omegas, other things in it. Most fish oil, it's like 70% of it is other omega-3s, other stuff. Like, we don't want to talk about it. It's just other stuff. So this one doesn't have that. So EPA, I know that inflammation is spelled an I, but EPA lowers your inflammation levels. It helps with cell damage. E for emotions. It helps with emotional stability. So if you or your spouse or somebody, don't tell them I said this, are having some of these, right, little roller coasters, then maybe we should get them on omegas. We don't tell them it so that they'll stop being, it's because it's going to help the inflammation in their body, help them feel better, right? Side effect, a month later, you're like, wow, you're so chill. Everything's always baseline. D for duh. The DHA is like brain food. It's for mental clarity, cognition, memory, all that kind of stuff. If you feel like you're lacking in that, really, really good supplement to be on. Okay, so overall, reducing inflammation, helping you feel better emotionally, you're welcome, as well as making you smarter. These are the building blocks to make glutathione. This is what's going to help your liver start to get toxins out and getting it into one of those areas like we talked about so you can get it out of your body. And the only thing that I don't have that you guys should probably get is what's called Bind. And this is an activated charcoal and a few other things so that when the toxins come out into your gut, then you take this in the morning, pulls them out, take this at night, and it binds it in your stool so you actually get rid of the toxins the next time you have a bowel movement. And this has stuff to help with your microbiome and your gut and everything else. So this is the detox protocol we usually use to work on the liver.
So you would call that like a liver cleanse?
Basically. Vitamin D. There's a gazillion different reasons, but it helps with depression, helps with your immune system, it helps with all kinds of different stuff. Full transparency, I think you should get most of your vitamin D from the sun. The problem is you're not out with a large portion of your clothes off in the sun for long enough to really get everything you need. But the more you can be in the sun between now and next winter, I found out that you actually store a lot of that and you can build up your vitamin D levels in the summer and spring, etc., and need to require less supplementation in the winter. But it's not crazy to take one of these as a daily supplement throughout the winter and spring and get that. A recommended dose for adults is usually 5,000 IU. IU stands for International Unit. Yep. Sunscreen's a scam. Mic drop. I'm out. Being burnt is not good. Being burnt repetitively is bad for you. Being in the sun is extremely good for you. Being in the sun helps your immune system. Being in the sun helps your emotions. It helps every single part of your body. You're designed to be in the sun. You're not designed to be out in the sun for so long that you get burnt. And a couple other key factors here. If you are actually out first thing in the morning and you look at the sun before it's like blinding you, it starts to prep your body. Crazy. I don't understand the mechanics behind it. Just learning it starts to prep your body to be able to absorb and take the sun better without getting burned. The less you eat seed oils and the more free of seed oils you are, the less you get burned. So basically, if you're healthier and you're out there more, and especially first thing during the day, you're going to have less sunburns anyways. Now, if you're borderline ginger, you got to watch out no matter what you do, right? But sunscreen is not bad if there's no chemicals in it, and I'm using it to give myself a barrier because I have to be out in the sun for longer than I would normally want to be out, right? I'm not saying don't wear it. I'm saying you got to be very wise about what you wear, because what if the sunscreen that you're putting on your skin has a bunch of chemicals in it, and by putting the sunscreen on every day, you're allowing chemicals to get into your skin, and your cup is filling up all the time thinking you're doing the right thing, and actually wearing that sunscreen for the last 25 years is what's got the cup full. And that's part of what caused the issues down the road. So it's not that sunscreen itself, it's just 98% of the sunscreen is toxic garbage. You got to figure out the right ones that are more healthy for you. And then you'd be better off going out for an hour, getting some sunlight without anything blocking it, and then going back under shade or back inside. Good question. This protein powder is awesome. I'm so glad you guys got this. Most of the time, when there's 25 grams of protein, there's also 25 grams of sugar, or this is 21 grams, or there's a bunch of artificial junk in it. I like this a lot. It's coming from bone broth. It's coming from a non-dairy source. If there's any dairy issues, you don't have to worry about it. But also it's sweetened with stevia, but doesn't have a strong stevia aftertaste. And it's from grass-fed, grass-finished cows. So it's the cleanest, healthiest protein that I've found. We just tried a new one at the last seminar we went to, and it's from A2 milk. So it's like a super clean dairy source, and they actually put beef organs in it. So you're getting quality dairy whey protein, and you're getting some organ components. So I like it a lot. I'm going to finish out the bottle, and then we'll probably carry it. We're going through a major transition in supplements, and right now we're just kind of going to start selling them at discounts just to get rid of them and kind of start fresh. But what we're going to move to is only having a few of them up here, but then having it a way for you to be able to pick and choose from all kinds of stuff and be able to order it directly to your house. And then we have a couple of accounts where you can get discounts because you're signed up under our account. Last thing, unless there's if there's any questions, ask me. Otherwise, I'm going to finish with autoimmune because I would like you guys to walk out of here knowing that autoimmune disease is a lie and what they're telling you is not the truth. Yes, let's talk about BMR before we go. I love that, Jared.
So we did just finish a weight loss challenge. So
your basal metabolic rate is how many calories that your body burns at rest. Just your brain burns a ton of calories just being alive and thinking. So you have your basal metabolic rate, and then you have your resting metabolic rate, and then your true basal metabolic rate includes activity level. So there's calculators online. You punch in your age, your weight, your sex, and your activity level, and it'll give you pretty close to a calculation of what your BMR is. Now, part of losing weight is calorie restriction. There's no way around that. But I try to make sure that it's more about quality food so you can heal. But if your BMR, let's just use super basic numbers. If your BMR is 1,500 calories, which means it takes you 1,500 calories. A calorie is just a unit of energy to burn a piece of food. It's a unit of heat, really. So if you eat 1,000 calories a day, you're at a 500 calorie deficit that day. Okay? If I did that for 7 days, I don't know what the dollar sign came in there. Yeah, I guess. You're gonna be 3,500 calories ahead. (3,500 calories equals 1 pound. So if you wanted to count your macros, keep track of your calories, and you wanted to be able to have a pretty good estimation as to how do I lose a pound a week, It's right there. So you would want to eat 500 calories less than what you burn, and you'd have to do that for 7 straight days, and you should lose 1 pound of body fat. Obviously, you can go way further than that. There are days where I've been eating
0 calories.
600 or 700 calories. I'm like, what am I doing right now? But my BMR right now is 1670 range. So if I'm eating 700 calories, then I'm 970 calories each day. I'm going to get to a pound of fat or a pound a whole lot faster. Make sense? I'm not saying you should starve yourself. I'm just saying that there is technically an equation to figure out weight loss. And then there are components of, I believe that you could eat very small amount of calories, but if it's bread, pasta, or garbage, you're putting toxins in, you're creating cell damage, you're creating inflammation, you're not going to lose it as fast. If you're eating the same amount of calories, but it's super clean meat, fruit, and some vegetables, and you're putting in things that heal the cell, not creating toxins and not creating cell damage, inflammation is going to go down. Therefore, weight goes down, inflammation goes down, which is why you probably lose weight faster. Okay. On the count of 3, everybody's going to say BS, okay? Ready? Autoimmune disease is 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
That's right. How'd you guys know that? What does the world tell you that an autoimmune disease is? First of all, how many autoimmune diseases were there 20 years ago? There was
Alrighty then.
there was somewhere in the ballpark of probably 20 different autoimmune diseases. I'm just, well, maybe not 2000. I'm saying like 20 plus years ago. Let's go with,
1999.
no, that's too early. I'll go with 1999.
All right.
There was probably only like 20-ish back then if you look it up. But right now there's over 120 or 130. And so autoimmune disease is going up, 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 up. If you look at it, they're going to tell you that an autoimmune disease is what? How does your doctor define it? What's their rationale?
Body attack.
Mm-hmm. The same let me get this straight. The same intelligence that took my kids from 2 cells to a human in 9 or 10 months, and then they were born and they've been growing without me doing anything. The same intelligence that runs that is the same intelligence that's inside of me, and it's all of a sudden just going to go, ooh, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to start attacking things. Does that make any sense? No. So it doesn't attack the body. It attacks the area of the body where there's a foreign invader. Let me say it again. If you get a vaccine, great pen. If you get a vaccine, vaccines have aluminum in them. The aluminum is what's called an adjuvant. The adjuvant is what is used to aggravate the immune system so that you have some response to the bacteria or virus that they put in the vaccine. That's legitimate science. That's the purpose of the aluminum. Okay? Aluminum doesn't always leave the body, rarely does. So let's just say the aluminum ends up in your thyroid. Now, is the aluminum something that's naturally occurring in the body? I mean, we're exposed to it, but I would argue that there's no part of your body that makes aluminum. There's no aluminum factory inside the body. Therefore, if there's aluminum in the body's not going, oh yeah, we see that all the time. It may get in through toxic exposure, what you eat, the chemtrails, whatever, but the body's going, holy crap, aluminum. And then because it got in through a pathway it was supposed to go through, there's a defense to that. Either way, your immune system has to do what? It has to attack. So the immune system has always got one job. Where's the foreign invader? How do we get rid of it? Remember, the foreign invader could be the tissue damage from the accident you had. Hey, dead cells. We can't have dead cells in the body. We got to attack that, eat it up, get rid of it, start over, triggers response for new cell growth, right? The toxins, cell damage, immune system. We started the conversation with this. We're going to end it with this. If there's something in the body that's a foreign invader, whether that be glyphosate from the genetically modified foods you're eating, whether it be some other pesticide, whether it be aluminum from vaccine, you name it, if it's something that's consistently getting in, it's not supposed to be there, then the body's going to recognize that as a problem and a foreign invader, and it has only one option, and that is to attack that, to get it out or to kill it until it's gone. And if that metal or that object or that chemical is never leaves the body, then it will never stop attacking that part of the body until it's done. It won't quit. That's why it's attacking itself. How else do things get in? Your gut, I can't draw. So this is a nose and a mouth, and this is an esophagus, and this is a stomach, and this is the gut. This is not supposed to have anything get out of it. Do you guys know that? Its stuff gets absorbed in it, but it's only 1 to 2 cell layers thick. And so if you have a leaky gut issue, which is caused by too many antibiotics, it's caused by some medications, it's caused by glyphosate, it's caused by poor nutrition, then you eat stuff and that stuff gets out of your gut into your bloodstream, and then that can be seen as a foreign invader as well. So anything that's in the body that shouldn't be there, the immune system recognizes that, the immune system attacks it. It will not quit until you get that out. So if you want to fix autoimmune disease, really you have to get your cup to empty, be step 1. Step 2 would be then, if I still have it, now that the cup is empty, then I would want to test for things like heavy metals and other stuff like that that might be in the body that could be triggering it. And if the test comes back that I have high levels of whatever, then that's what I have to figure out how to get out of the body through a process called chelation. Chelation just means that you take something or ingest something or put something in that's proven to latch onto that type of a chemical and pull it through the liver like we talked about earlier. Autoimmune disease is reversible. It's not a lifelong sentence. The other crazy thing that I've found, and this is why you guys get adjusted, I've never had a patient who's had some sort of ulcerative colitis or some sort of autoimmune issue in the gut that had a really good looking pelvis and lumbar spine. Never seen it. I've never had a patient who had Hashimoto's or some sort of thyroid autoimmune disease that had a great curve in their neck. I've never seen it in 15 years in practice. So I truly believe that why is it this organ versus that organ? Well, what if neurologically speaking, what's feeding and connecting that organ is weaker than what's feeding the rest of the organs? That organ's not being regulated. The gas pedal brake's not working. It's dysfunctional. Now you've got the aluminum or the glyphosate attached to it. Obviously, it's the weakest link. That's why it gets attacked and doesn't heal. Hypothesis, but I see a consistency. Cheers. Last minute questions. Appreciate you guys being here. Last thing that I have is we have a dinner coming up. We're going to move to only doing dinners as events. So we're going to do dinners in the office. We're going to continue to tell you guys about it because our goal would be that you would come, stay plugged in. The more you hear about chiropractic, the more you hear that your body can heal, the more you hear that you're on the right track, the more you hear that what you're doing is right, the less you're going to fall off the wagon and end up like everyone else that's on medications and wishing they were still healthy, right? That's full transparency. That's the number one reason why I ask you guys to come to this or to come to a dinner. I've been to 10 dinners. Good. Well, the whole world's telling you it's okay to be sick. Come to a dinner and hear all the testimonials about people that are healthy, right? And the other reason why you come to a dinner is because you know for a fact that there's somebody in your church, there's somebody in your work, there's some neighbor, there's somebody who hasn't heard the message of chiropractic that really wants to be healthy, and they will never hear the truth unless you say something. And bringing them to a dinner is the easiest way to do it. So that's why we're really going to buckle down on dinners and just be really successful with them. I'm going to start moving all of these classes to an online platform. So if you guys want to watch, I'm going to start to try to have different themes. So maybe it'll be just a 45-minute power pack talk on energy, hormones, seed oils, whatever the topic is. And I'm going to put that link out. And so you guys can sign up for it here in the office, and I'm going to invite people all around the country and around the world to start joining these workshops, because I don't know if you guys know this, but most places, they don't have someone that's sitting here doing classes like this on a Wednesday night. So they want to be able to tune in online. And then we're still going to do our big quarterly events. So our next big quarterly event we have coming up is the Justin-Palooza. It's a huge party in the park. It's going to be the last Friday in May. So if you guys would come out, we'd love to have you there. Have an amazing night. I'll see you guys around.